Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's the 2nd of March, and we are going to be talking today about modifying direct deposit in Dash and different credit returns that you might see. So Charles is actually an expert in this world because I have no idea how to do that. So I'm very happy that we have him with us today. Please stay tuned at the end of our webinar because I've got a couple of announcements to make, and I'm looking forward to doing that. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us. And Charles, take it away.
Thank you, Saundra. And it was direct deposit we were going over today,
I
correct?
have
I
no
was just
idea.
wondering. So that's what I was told. And I mean, it's something that we've gone over before, I do understand, but there's always updates to Dash. And as well, and I think over time we have gotten a little bit better in our presentations because I do have some things to show you that will make sense of the things that I've been saying over the time. So if we do direct deposit, first off, what we do is best practice is when you have a direct deposit and you're the one entering it, you do want to have a form that the employees sign where they understand that if there is a, let me see, I'm going to bring up our version of that, new hire, and the direct deposit form. And it's where they understand that it's got verbiage in here that if there is an error mistake that they authorize you, or thereby us, to debit back the funds that were posted in error. This is an important thing because you do want to have their permission to touch their account when you're taking funds out. You know, that can get into a tricky situation. So this is a form that we have, and you can freely use it. This is our form, and they just basically sign right here, acknowledging all the verbiage in here, and they give us the information on what bank accounts they are, what type of accounts they are, and how much goes into each account. Normally people you have either one or two accounts that they have deposits in, although I have seen ones where they are like say 3 or 4. And we have this area right here that where you can attach the voided check to keep with your records when you're entering that, so that you have this on file in case there's any questions in the future. And so the other thing that you have on here is that these are dated, so you can have one that is most accurate as of the last date. And it also shows you where the routing number is and where the account number is on these checks to enter. Now, what we did not anticipate way back when direct deposits were started was that people would not be using checks anymore. They use their debit cards, you know, everything's a Visa or a MasterCard logo on it. And so what to do with people who have never even seen a check, let alone use them, is that we do have where you can go to the online bank, or rather the employee can go log into their bank online. And I'm going to give you an example right here of, say, Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo has it where you click on accounts and then set up direct deposit right there. And it will take them through a series of steps where they say, I want to use this account. I want it to be this amount, everything, and then prepare the form. And this is the form that they prepare, the direct deposit automatic payment setup guide. And it gives them a little description of what this is. And then it also will state on there their routing number and their account numbers. You can see right here, I've got that highlighted in yellow. So this is the kind of form that it is, and this is what it looks like, and that is how you can access it. I used Wells Fargo as an example, but Bank of America does it, Citibank, Chase Manhattan, all of them have that. We have seen the forms as we go through, as we do the job with direct deposits. And even I have a credit union myself. They do the same thing. They provide that information online for you to easily access. And so once you get that, then it's just a matter of entering the direct deposit. And of course you would go in, and while I was talking, of course it kicked me out, but that's okay. I would just log back in. And of course, I would try it again because I didn't enter the right password the last time. It happens to us too. So I would go into the employee, and I would go to their payroll data, Of course, first I would select the employee. So let's say it's, okay, I'm going to go with my standby, Mr. Holmes. And I'm going to click on him. And then I could easily just click down here and go to direct deposit right here and click on the black dot to go to the direct deposit. Or I can click on, hover over payroll data and go to direct deposit that way. Okay, nothing is set up as of yet. So I would just go in and I'd have all the information in front of me and I would click on add. And then it automatically sets the priority here to 99. 99 being either the entire check or remaining net pay. Everything is done by priority here. You can either have 1 or 2 or 3 or 99. And 99 always goes last. They go in order of priority where 1 is first all the way to 99 and everything in between. And that is what tells the system in what priority to do the direct deposits. If you have 1, it's no big deal. It's 99. That's it. If you have more than 1, you want to be careful with them because you don't want your net pay to go into your net pay going into priority 1 and $50 going into priority 99. That's reverse order. It won't work that way. It looks at the first priority first. And then if there's nothing left, there's nothing left. And then you can enter the routing number, and that's easily seen here. On the pop-up it has where it shows you the routing number. So I'm just going to select this one that it has in here, and then you put in the account number. And you put it in again. And then you would tell it if it's checking or savings. And after that, you would go to deposit entire check, remaining net paid to this account. If you have more than 1 direct deposit, you would sit here and say no for anything other than 99. If it's 99, it should always be yes, because it is the remaining net pay. That's what the 99 is for. If it's anything else, you can enter the amount, and you can have it be either a flat amount or percentage. That's the only 2 you need to be looking at. Okay. And so, but we have this at 99, so we hit yes. Now, the start date automatically comes up with the next check date. In our system, the check date says 2/5 because that's the next one that we have in our calendar right now. But in your case, it would be like the upcoming one. You always want to click on it and select the today's date. Why? If you happen to need a special payroll that processes in between and this person's getting paid, if you don't put the start date to the day that you entered the direct deposit, it may not go through because it doesn't start until that date. The other thing you want to look at is the pre-note date. And on the pre-note date, what you want to look at is you want to enter a date that's in the past. Because way back when direct deposit started, they didn't have the computer system that the internet that we do today. So banks would have to verify that a direct deposit account was good. What they would do was they would have the direct deposit be held for about a month. And that's what the pre-note date does. It holds the direct deposit until that date has passed. Now we do have to enter one, but we don't want it to interfere with the direct deposit going through. So that's why you put something like, say, 1/1/2022 in there, because then that's so far in the past that this will go through regardless. It's best practice. And of course, normally I would hit save at this point, but this is not a real direct deposit. So I'm just going to hit cancel. Now, questions do come up is like a direct deposit. We do have a standard for direct deposit that if you have that, then you have to submit the payroll like 2 banking days prior to the direct deposit in order for it to be guaranteed to post by that date. That's simply because it takes time for these electronic transfers to go through. Some banks process them faster, some banks don't. That's why we have it as a standard that we cannot get. Yes? I'm sorry, I thought I heard something. But that's why we have as a standard in our contracts that we cannot guarantee a direct deposit unless you post it. I mean, unless you submit the payroll 2 banking days prior to the date it's supposed to post. We also have instances where there's a credit return, and that can come up because let's say when you enter the direct deposit, you miss a number on the account, right? Instead of putting 2 8s, you put 1 8 in there, and it doesn't go through. We received the notice that they could not locate the direct deposit, so that gets returned to us. We in turn return the funds back to your payroll account, and you would be issuing that employee a manual check for the net pay. No further action needs to be done in the system because we already have a record of that pay. You would just cut a check to them for whatever that net amount was. And there is a fee for the returned electronic transaction of $15. So you always want to make sure that you have the proper documentation to back up your direct deposit, like the copy of the voided check, or that form that I showed you earlier. Let's see here, this kind of form, which shows you the routing number and the account number for your direct deposit. And you keep this on file. It's best practice because it saves you from having headaches in the future. Because I will say that there are still some people who will just pick up a deposit slip at the bank, just go in, pick up a generic deposit slip and use that routing number, and it doesn't work. They'd have to use the routing number specific to their account. So at this point, are there any questions about anything that's ever come up with direct deposit you may have a question about?
Charles, I don't see anything in the chat, but one thing I wanted to ask you is, in that direct deposit, the best practice is suggesting that you don't add new direct deposit accounts on the same day that you do your payroll, because we do need at least 2 banking days for that direct deposit to settle in with the bank, correct?
Well, no, you can have the direct deposit entered the day that you're doing payroll, but you do need to have the best practice is to make sure that you have the correct routing number and account number. Also, enter the direct deposits before you submit the payroll, because when we get the payroll file, if the direct deposit's not in there, it's not gonna go through. We have to have that in there before you submit the payroll. So that's the best practice. Now, when you, if you are somebody who is sending us these things, and if you're coming to these webinars, they should give you enough information where you don't need to. But if you're sending us those things, it is a good idea to send us that information before the day that you are doing the payroll, simply because you send that into us, then you submit the payroll, and we may not have been able to get to it before the payroll processed. That's the thing, because it's like on those days we do a lot of things here, and if we have a little bit of time ahead of time, we can make sure that it goes through. And if you do send it in, do not submit the payroll until we've confirmed that direct deposit is in the system.
Good practice. That's excellent.
That's always good practice, because you want to make sure it's there. But if you're coming to these, it's because you're interested in learning how to do all this stuff, the different capabilities you have in here. So you would be doing the direct deposits yourself. And by the way, just because you are attending these doesn't mean you can't always ask us questions outside of this. If you have a direct deposit and you're sitting there going, I'm not sure what to do here, you can give us a call, you can send us an email. We are more than happy to assist you.
Okay, next question regarding direct deposit, Charles, is if the client has employee self-service, ESS, and the employee goes in to enter their own direct deposit information, we know that in real time, that direct deposit information will feed into Dash. So you should have the current banking information when the payroll processes. And am I speaking the truth? Is that the fact?
It depends on the setup for employee self-service, because an important thing you want to consider is if the employees are entering this information, they are not going to know what we have just discussed. They are going to be they're going to be entering what they think is the routing number and what they think is the account number if they're entering the direct deposit themselves. What you can do to keep that from becoming an issue, like they enter the wrong thing, is to make sure that you have it's set up to where if they're entering the direct deposit, you have to approve it. And we can set that up. They can enter it on their side. You have to approve it. And you can even ask them that if they're going to do that, they need to send you the documentation.
Okay, that's also a good practice. There is a fail-safe in entering the routing number, for example, because there are only a finite number of routing numbers. But as you say, if they went into the bank and got a basic deposit slip and used that routing number, it is very possible that it doesn't match their own personal bank account. So that's something to be aware of as well. That was a good fact, Charles. Thanks for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
I also appreciate the fact that you showed us the direct deposit authorization letter that comes from the bank. We have that question a lot because I haven't ordered checks in years. So it's a really good thing to know that this is available and that the client, or excuse me, the employee can get that information from their bank. In fact, many banks have a link right on their online account to get that set up direct deposit, like you're showing us now, Charles. You were thinking right in my head. I love it. And that's really good to know. The other thing, if your employees do not have a checking account, we have some clients who don't, we offer a pay card option. If you are interested in that, please let me know and I will send you the information separately in a ticket so you can review it. Basically, a pay card works just like a debit card. Their paycheck, their net paycheck, is deposited onto that debit card. They can go to a universal ATM and withdraw their money for a very nominal fee. I think it's like $1.50. Very inexpensive to do, rather than going to an ATM like at Wells Fargo. If you're withdrawing money, they charge you $375 to do that. I'm only kidding. $3.75. But and also they can use that debit card at merchants, like at the grocery store or wherever they go shopping. Target will take it, and that will just deduct from their debit card just like any other debit card. So if you need that option, if you do have employees without bank accounts at all, then please contact me. I have the information for you. It does not cost the employer anything. Okay.
And there's also a wide variety of these places where they're completely online banking. They don't have physical presences, or there's those cards that you get that are just, it's just an account where they have a card and that's it,
like
or something through their phone or what have you. All of them want your employee's business, so they're not going to say no if the employee has questions about, where do I find my routing number or my account number to set up direct deposit. What you are is necessarily the gatekeeper, because these are your employees. They sometimes are relying on those direct deposits to go through. So when you get the documentation, if there's something in there that you're looking at and go, this doesn't look right, are we sure that this is the correct deposit? Do you have anything from your bank? You want to be asking them these questions when you're getting the request, rather than saying, oh, it looks good. You want backup documentation, because it's easier to do that and have the direct deposit go through correctly, to go through the additional steps to get the correct numbers, than to put it through based on what they provide you and have it be returned. That takes time that your employee may not feel that they have. So it is better to make sure that the information that you receive is correct before you enter the direct deposit.
Good advice, Charles. Thank you. All right. No further questions are in the chat. Charles, would you like to move on to the next subject?
Oh, yes. What is the next subject?
Credit returns.
Credit returns. I did touch on this briefly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I did touch on this briefly. This is when the information we get is wrong. The account could be closed, right? This has happened quite a few times. The employee, something happened with their bank account, and so they closed it and they forgot to tell you. So when that kind of thing happens, we receive the documentation or the notice from our bank that it has been returned by the receiving bank. And what I mean by the receiving bank is the one that the employee told us this is where the funds should go. That's the receiving bank. They return it because they can't find the account. The account's been closed. Something is going on that's kind of funky. So they send it back to us. We receive the notice and we reach out to you. We do have for those returned electronic transactions, there's a cost, and that is a $15 fee. So that's going to be applied to the following invoice. And what we do as best practice is we remove that direct deposit account because we don't want that to happen again and again and again, right? So that way they'll be receiving live checks until such a time as they have a accurate direct deposit set up. When you rehire somebody after they've been terminated, you want to check a few things. You want to check that their taxes are still valid. Did they get divorced or married since they last worked for you? You want to make sure their address is current. You want to make sure their name is still current, because if they got married and they changed their name or what have you. And you want to check the direct deposit, because that they could have switched banks in between working for you and then leaving your work and then coming back. These are things you want to check, because it's always easier, like I was saying, to make sure it's correct beforehand than to have you and us and your employee try to chase that money down, because that will take a couple of days, right? And I know me, I'm not hurting for money in between checks, but it's like I always need that check at some point because I still have to pay bills, right? And so will you, and so will your employees. So that's why I always say is like we would rather avoid the credit return if at all possible. And at that point, you are the gatekeepers by getting those documents, that voided check, that direct deposit form that tells you the information. And by having that employee sign that form, or a form that is similar, that is one that you may have, as long as it states that if there is an error, we do that you have the authorization, and therefore us, your representative in this case, to debit their account for instances where it may be that everything was correct, but the direct deposit was entered on the wrong employee. Right? And you need to get that money back because it doesn't belong to who it was sent to. It belongs to somebody else. So that's the kind of things that come up with direct deposits. So you always want to be extra sure before it gets in it. And the employee may not understand it. They may sit there and go, I haven't got time, just put it through. You can tell them this is basically to make sure you get the funds on time. It's better to find that out now than later. Right. And that's, I mean, because the one thing you don't want is to get a call from us or a notice. Yes, this did not go through. The funds are being returned to your account, and we're going to have to charge you $15 for it.
So it's also money saving and time saving to just make sure it's right up front.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Charles, thank you. You did a great job of covering everything as always, so I appreciate that. I don't see any questions, but if you think of one while I'm chatting here, put it in the chat. I just want to let you know that next week it's a surprise. I'm working on a guest speaker, and I have not yet had my confirmation that she will be able to join us. But as you know, our guest speakers are usually pretty good. So hopefully you will join us. And when you get the invitation next Wednesday, if it's something that anyone on your staff might be interested in, please do forward the invitation so they can join as well. On the 16th, Charles is at it again. He's going to be talking about state municipal leaves and how to administer those in Dash. So that will be a very interesting conversation. I'll learn a whole lot because I have no idea how to do that. So thank you, Charles. You're going to give us another epic presentation once again. Well, with no questions, and we would have answers, but that's okay. We will go ahead and end this webinar. I want to thank you for being part of the PayrollCentric family. Please reach out to me if you would like information on those pay cards. And if you need any other information, would like to enhance your account, I'm happy to schedule a demonstration on any of our other options that we have here at PayrollCentric. And by the way, Don't forget, we've got benefits and workers' compensation too. Shameless pitch, right? Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye for now.